Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Eric Bird, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And tonight is 2026, your last chance to build wealth, ladies and gentlemen. We have a countdown clock, December 31st, 2026 at midnight. You have certain things to do. I'll describe those in a little bit. But passive income, you're going to need. Credit score high, you're going to need. And building wealth, you have to do it and protect yourself. And that means legally with trust, just like the big boys. Don't be foolish out here when you accumulate your assets. Just keep that in mind. And health is wealth. Remember that. Put that in your top three as well. In fact, get your pen, pads, and papers ready because tonight it could be game over soon. Will you be prepared? And welcome to the SSN Nation Wealthy Wednesday Night Live Stream. Stop struggling now, gear. Check. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, thank you so much for being here. And please share the videos because you never know who's going to be out here looking for this information. The basic information is at the start of every live stream findhelp.org. That's your first line of defense if you're having difficulties. The channel's called Stop Struggling Now for a reason, because there's nonprofits that help you. Anywhere in America, most likely there's help. Put in your zip code, go look. You will be pleasantly surprised if you're in need of help across a wide range of services. Just so you know, it can be something as simple as a bus pass. It could be something as serious as caregiving. It could be something as serious as getting a job and job training. A lot of things in there. Hundreds, if not thousands, if you live in a major city and you can get help. 8 out of 10 of you need help. I know this. And that also means you have to do the tenets that we're talking about right now. Reduce your debt at all costs. You have to be on the Dave Ramsey program. Not because you're going to do something crazy, but let me just explain. If you can get your credit score high enough and you can have 0% interest for at least 12 months or 20 months or 24 months, that gives you a little breathing room where everything you pay towards your credit card, once you transfer it over to the 0%, that way it's paying the principal and the amount will be lower because you will not have to pay principal and interest. So keep that in mind. That is your goal. Number one, 775 credit score by December 31st, 2026. It's possible. They've changed the landscape of credit to make sure that the rich guys can have let's just call it what it is. Making it easier. All right. Participation trophies. So you should still be able to pull it off if you have not already. If you still haven't gotten a bank account outside the United States, what are you waiting for? You need to do that ASAP. Simply said, if you're new here, I don't like a broke country holding my money, especially one that just prints it up out of thin air whenever they feel like it and causes inflation. Sooner or later, there will be an implosion. Somebody tells me there's a time limit, a ticking time bomb. You've heard it here. That's why our deadline is December 31st. Why? Because I always like to have a little cushion, a little runway. So that way you'll be prepared. So long as you're gathering up some of these tools that you could use later, we're making sure you're prepared. And if all things end up going well, well, so be it. You have wealth. Congratulations. Because guess what? Prices aren't going down anytime soon and never again. The global supply chain, just like COVID global supply chain was involuntary, now we have another global supply chain that is voluntary, and it's taking out people, cities, states, corporations all over the world. This is a little bit different than a pandemic when you have shutdowns and everybody's sitting at home. The corporations, yes, they're still losing money, but they're not losing money based on some other event. Everybody was shut down. Now we have certain parts of the country and the world being shut down and affected. Gas affects every country, by the way, just so you know. So let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen, because we have post-retirement travel here. The third tenet after you had your credit score at 776, after you have that bank account outside the United States, I told you the third tenet as well. So write it down. Make sure you have real estate or a business outside of the United States. It's that simple. Okay? Very simple. Post-retirement travel. Speaking of outside the United States, Mr. Worldwide 2 is in the house. An avid investor, an avid guy that sits around and goes outside the country. Doesn't it make sense that he would have a bank account outside the United States? Wouldn't it make sense that he has real estate or a business outside the United States? Would that not make sense? Welcome to the SSN Nation. Wealthy Wednesday night live stream with that icon next to his name, which I humbly appreciate as he's a member of the channel. And he brings his tagline, hello all, let's do this. That's what we do out here, ladies and gentlemen. We have to do the damn thing. We can't leave you sitting on the sidelines clapping for our success. We need you to have your own. Let's go. Stock market on fuego, says post-retirement travel. He is absolutely correct. Can we please get some L's? We're not getting L's anytime soon. It's not going to happen. First of all, let's get real, ladies and gentlemen. If you have two wars that are affecting supply chains, affecting corporations, they're going out of business, losing tens of thousands of jobs just in America per month. Never mind around the world. These corporations are going out of business. There is no recuperation because that means there's no hiring happening. So this will reverberate later. It usually takes, can you hear me now, about a year, year and a half before you feel the effects of policies. Just saying. All right, let's see. Can we back up the second truck? We're getting W's from all directions. Exactly. You can't let this go by, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I started 9 months ago my journey for stock market trading. It's very hard. But you don't have to take the high risk, high reward path. You can take the post-retirement travels pass and learn the wheel strategy. Okay, I must admit I have not done that. I'm working on another project. This is the one that kills two industries that I've been wanting to hurt for a long time. Not because I have any vendettas, not because I'm mad about something, but I am mad about one thing. I'm mad about gatekeepers. All right? I don't like gatekeepers. I don't like people who say the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you act, yeah, you're good, but I just don't want to deal with you just because you're great. You're a star. You've never done anything to me, but I heard stuff. So we can't give you a contract. We can't do stuff. Or we're going to give you a contract, but then on the backside, it's going to be an IOU. All these little things like that. I want people to win. You got skills, you got talent. It should be no didn't earn it BS. It should be you're good at what you do, therefore you should be rewarded. You know, like the good old days when America was doing this from the 1940s to the late 40s up until the 70s. And then, of course, we had this little thing going on in the 80s and that kind of thing. But all of a sudden, that participation trophy thing that showed up in the 80s, ladies and gentlemen, you can't do a participation trophy when you're building wealth. You have to be in it. And you can't just participate and be at the end of the bench. You gotta be a winner. You just don't get to participate. Here's how you participate: 401k. That's how you participate. You play the long game. Nothing wrong with the long game. But anybody that's, let's say, under 30, I question if you're going to be able to work somewhere for 20 plus years and have a pension of any sort. Them days are pretty much gone. This looks like and sounds like reality night tonight. That is a problem. And again, you don't have to listen to me. Ladies and gentlemen, I just ask you, please go search for yourself. Bring your pen, pads, papers, write it down. You know why it's very simple? You don't even have to look up metrics. If I know 8 out of 10 people are living paycheck to paycheck, that's a red flag. If I know all-time record high is average age to buy a home is 40 years old, that's a problem. Because homes, because of the way they increase in value in a short period of time, people are able to take the equity out of the home. But now the lost generation under 40 has a problem with several things. Childcare, off the roof. Therefore, that's a problem even if you have one child. You got a problem with where you're going to live that's going to be reasonable in association with how much you make per month if you work for somebody. So therefore, the only logical conclusion is you're going to have to possibly work for somebody. Let's just face it, school is based on you taking orders. There's only a certain people that have that entrepreneurial spirit. Just call it what it is. It's nothing wrong with that. It's safer to work for somebody else, quite frankly. It's high risk when you do your own business. Let's just cut the crap, okay? So therefore, now it's high risk if you're going to work somewhere for 20 years. That's high risk. So now you have no choices but to act a little more aggressive with your wealth building. All right, let's get down to business tonight because we got a lot of W's incoming. What's up, SSN Nation? Says Mo Better in the house. Welcome to the SSN Nation Wealthy Wednesday night live stream. And he says, what's up, E? We in the building. I like you being in the building, man. And he says he smashed that like button. Oh, yes. I like to hear the sound of that. On my way in. I love it. Thank you so much for your support, man. I greatly appreciate it. All right. Let's make America great again. Hey, man, I don't know how you're going to do that. The thing has rent. I'm running down some things for you. It does not look that well for the lost generation who cannot afford a home under 40 years old. That's the average age now, in case you missed that. And you have 8 out of 10 Americans living paycheck to paycheck. So somebody might ask, what is going on out here? Well, what's going on is the top 20% has most of the wealth. That's why. So ultimately, mathematically, if the wealth of the top 20 and they have 80% of the wealth, and the other 80% have to deal with 20% of the wealth. It should be reversed, by the way. That is where we're headed. So that's why you have to build your wealth. You got time. but you have several options to do it. And one isn't what your grandparents were able to do or your parents were able to do, where you would have a house that you were able to buy cheap, then you can live in it, and then it would go up in value 3x, 4x, 5x, 6x, 10x over 20, 25 years. Then you can take some equity out and go do whatever you want because the equity is maybe 300, 500, $1 million. It all depends on where you live. Those days are over, ladies and gentlemen. So let's just call it what it is. You need to build your own wealth. Let's go. 40 was the average age 10 years ago to buy a house. Nope, it is new, Mo. But the elephant in the room is the credit card market crash incoming. That is, it's not really the credit card crash. It's actually loans crash, period. First of all these corporations, like for instance, Spirit Air, they go out of business. They owe, well, I don't really know. It's $500 million allegedly. But the fact of the matter is, the company that was going to take them over was JetBlue on this merger thing. Guess how much they owe? $9.4 billion. The math does not math, ladies and gentlemen. And therefore, the math with banks, lending and borrowing rules does not math. The Federal Reserve printing money does not math. None of it maths. You going out here and the government saying, I need $2 trillion dollars on top of getting rid of $4 trillion, dollars, gonna add 6 or $7 trillion to your deficit just on a piece of paper. That can't end well either when you're already in debt $40 trillion. In fact, our GDP and how much we owe in debt for the first time in history. No, sorry. Second time in history, this has happened where our GDP is below our debt. This is a crossroads that you don't want to continue to go down. And unfortunately, we're continuing to keep going down. We're going to be adding probably another 2 trillion spending this year or more. So therefore, spending is in one bucket, deficit is in another. And unfortunately, they're in the same bucket as far as I'm concerned. But that's okay. That's why there's going to be trouble on the horizon. The stock market's going up, though, ladies and gentlemen. You should be partaking. You should not be sitting on the sidelines. Anybody want to guess why it's happening? Okay, so I see we have uh, watch this. And by the way, due to laws that we have now, which think about this, ladies and gentlemen, think about this very, very carefully. If you don't have children, then who's going to be paying into the Social Security Administration fund, Medicare or Medicaid or any other social services in America? Day because they don't have enough population, and when people are there they leave, just like in America is happening, because if it's so hard over here you can live almost anywhere else, it costs less to live. So you have an exodus of people wanting to stay here and participate in sales tax, in income taxes, in a job payroll taxes, and therefore you're going to have less revenues. This is not rocket science. This is what you call a third world country. You just don't know it yet. So let's get into it, because when I have somebody in the house who says certain things, Mo's good for this. So I have to bring receipts. Here we are. Here we go. I'll just show you what it says so we can just stop the nonsense early. But we might be doing this all night. Here we are. Remember that thing I was just saying? The median age of first time home buyers in the US has reached a record high of 40 years old. This is up from 38 the year prior and represents a dramatic shift from 1981 when the median age was 29 years old. And again, record high, never happened before. 29 years old, ladies and gentlemen. I told you guys I was buying property when I was 19, 20 years old because everything was affordable. There was a little different rules. I mean, you know, you had decent enough credit. You can get a loan. The payments were basically almost like a 20 or 15 to 20% of what you made. So it wasn't like anything. The taxes were relatively low. Inflation was low. So therefore, it was a direct correlation. You can make 40 G's a year and live like a king because houses were like 70 grand, something, 75, 100. I mean, so that wasn't a thing. But you can't do that now because the average price of a home now is $430,000. So therefore, you have to make more money. You can't sit on the sideline. And even if you make more money, I'm trying to figure out how you're going to adjust years later. Because if things go according to what traditionally happens, where there's a high rate of inflation that should kick in, it's already higher. It's already high, but it's going to go higher. And if we have hyperinflation, then it's game over. It's already game over. But let me make sure this is on the screen, by the way. Okay, that's there. So record high, and last year, this 28. Yeah, okay, so definitely only time it's happened, and it's going to keep going because we don't have jobs. Well, we have jobs, but they're not livable wage jobs. It does, if the average house price is 430,000, it's around there. That means at I'll be 6% rate. All right. So at a 6% rate, you're already gonna owe like what, 24,000 plus, probably somewhere around $27,000 a year in interest by itself. You're already at 2 G's, 2,300 or something, right? So now you have to pay some of your principal. So now you have to make like almost 10 G's a month just to qualify with no debt. So you have to earn like $100,000 almost at that rate. Now, if it dropped, well, it's not dropping no time soon. Sorry. I'm not even going to entertain that idea. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the thing. You have to do the wealth building. That means you have to invest in stock. And I know 8 out of 10 of you don't have any disposable income. So you have no choice but to decrease your debt. It's this, if you want to go, I'll go ballistic on the Dave Ramsey program, as I called it, because he was always avid about pay off your house. Now, it always works until it doesn't, but for the most part, it's always worked because home prices go up. So it made sense to sit there and say, okay, I paid $200,000 for a house in 2015, and now that house is worth 400,000 or 500,000. It kind of made sense. But if the home prices stall and don't go up and the stock market's on fuego, then now it makes a very interesting dynamic because now that money that you paid, just like, since Mo's here, just like when you pay money to these pre-construction projects all over the world and they don't build on time, you're losing money that way as well. Even though somebody would say, oh yeah, the price went up. Okay, who cares? Do you know what's been happening over the last 3, 4, 5 years? The stock market has went up all-time record highs almost every year. That means if you would have invested and you're earning 13, 15, 20% on your money, that starts adding up when somebody's holding your money. So again, wealth building is part of strategy. You can't sit on the sidelines. You have to be involved all the time and keep it going, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I wanted to get into something else too, because I know we're going to have comments, chat room, and all that. We got to go with some other things because I got to put in here unstoppable domains as well. Get your unstoppable domains. Why do I say that? Just because it doesn't cost that much. $5, $10. They have sales sometimes, $20, whatever. At least you have stopstrugglingnow.crypto, ssnlifestyle.crypto, things like that. You never know what's going to happen with crypto. That is the thing. Because the banks own it, the wealthy own it, and when they own something, they turn it into money making ventures. And there's always fringe things they do. So you might as well just pay. You only do a one-time thing. You get a web3 crypto nft x whatever, bitcoin wallet, whatever they got. That's the ones, because they always add some or take some away. But the point is, you get that. So then whenever somebody needs to send you crypto, you just give them that stopstrugglingnow.crypto. That's it. ericbird.crypto. Or it could be nft. Either way, you don't need that alphanumeric character, nor do they, and it has the top 400 coins anyhow that people can send you. So unstoppable domain, that's in there too. Use that, please. I got your, that's a link in there. All right, interest rates will come down soon. New chair. That's not how it works. That is not even how it works. The interest rate is based on the bond market in reality, and bonds go up because people are divesting themselves of the United States because they keep track of this is like history. They know history of countries that have been the world currency holders have done the same thing. Whoever the next currency world holder is, they're going to do the same thing. You buy bonds from that country, then you can print money, and then you can print money also just because. So they all implode. Nobody is immune from doing this type of project at the United States. They're not the first. They're not going to be the last. But the people in the country are going to be screwed. The wealthy get to pillage the country. So since they're going to pillage the country, you better join them. So your health is wealth, even though this country doesn't really care about your health. Now you're going to have to figure out, are you going to be at this hospital because you're eating bad, not walking around, not caring about your fitness or anything? Because again, I've been sitting over here, by the way, my aunt came off of she was on her ventilator from the pneumonia. She came off today and everything was fine. So we're back on the road to recovery. So that's good. The other thing is, if you guys have not went around to a medical facility, I implore people to go to a skilled nursing facility in your area. Go to 2 or 3 minimum and say you want to see a tour. Go pay attention to what some of these rooms look like, smell like, and see if you see any doctors or, well, you won't. If you see anybody walking around, you may see one nurse in a whole wing with a little tablet or laptop on a little push table that they come down to each room. And these people have 15 to 20 patients. How long do you think you're able to check on 15 patients per hour if you stop in every room? You go check, you take a blood pressure or you take a temperature or, hey, how are you doing today? Is everything okay? Yeah, I got a doctor's appointment. Can you check on it for me? I got another appointment. I'm supposed to be an x-ray. Yeah, they'll be in that room. Let's call it 3 minutes. That means your loved one or you are sitting there 45 minutes minimum before they can come back to you. Meanwhile, you could have, if you had any serious health issues, you would have been dead. So think about these things that while you're out here eating, thinking everything's going to be fine, ladies and gentlemen, because that's another form of wealth. If you don't have to give your money to your insurance companies or the doctors, or worse, you now find yourself on Medicare, and then Medicare starts saying, hey, what assets do you own? Remember that wealth building? You spent all these years doing wealth building, and then it's in your name. And you did not sit up there and think about if you get sick as you get older. And you did not protect your assets because you didn't put it in an irrevocable trust or a trust that can block it. I'm not talking about one of those grantor trusts. Those aren't trusts. Because they will be looking and hunting for your assets. You're going to have to give them up if you're in a facility. Just think about it, ladies and gentlemen. That's another wealth factor that you could be passing on your wealth to your children and everything. So, just saying. All right. Oh, by the way, just for everybody so they understand about interest rates. If the interest rate for the Federal Reserve comes down, that has to do with your bank account. The bond rate is what you need to pay attention to. So, like for instance, let me go look at the bond rate right now. It's probably 4 point. It had to go up, right? And 0.50% on assets under management of 20, 30, 50, $100 billion. And they get to walk home sleeping comfortably. Because if it does go down, the ETF goes down or up, either way, they're getting paid billions traditionally. And they get to make money by stock market trades. And since you're friends with somebody, the 10-year yield is at 4.35%. So that's what's going to happen. Obviously, the United States has to increase the yield for more people to invest outside of the United States to invest in the US. The investing in the US is getting kind of scary to them because of our debt load, and now our GDP equation to our debt is a big problem. So this is why it's easy to see that this is not going to end well. And that means you should be preparing yourself by all means necessary right now. So you should be enjoying this ride while you can. Do not sit on the sidelines. Mo Better, what's up, buddy? We're soaring like the eagle. Somebody unleashed the stock market. We're building serious wealth in this market. And the previous, first of all, the stock market is designed for the wealthy. That's who the Federal Reserve was. They're the ones that started it in the early 1900s to bail out America, by the way. So this is why their mission, which I don't even know if it's on their mission statement, the stock market has went up damn near under every president. I mean, I mean, that's how it works. It's still going to rise because the big boys have stock options. Ever since they done that, like 30 years ago, that changed the stock market forever because you can buy back your own stocks. That changed. So once they did that, it's been on steroids. Every 1 year may be bad, but then it rises. It's always on this trajectory. That's why a lot of people who have 401ks are enjoying life because over a 20-year period, on average, it's going up 8, 9%. So most people can live with that because you're putting in thousands of dollars annually. So now if you put in like, let me get reasonable. What could somebody do? 400. Okay, 5 Gs, you know, 5 Gs a year. And then you could get, it's 550 if you got 10%. Because remember, some of these things got a 15% increase. Some of these things got a 9% decrease. Well, not that high, but a 4 or 5% decrease a year here. But then it's 9%, 8%, 11%. That, so again, it rises if you keep putting money in there over time. And if you don't have a 401k, shame on you. You should have a solo 401k for your business. Go to Fidelity. It's easy. All right. I used to love TD Ameritrade because they made it even easier. But if you have a business, you should have a 401k. Then you should work for your business, right? And then you should have a participation into the company's 401k. Since you're the boss, you write the rules. 3% match after a certain amount, just to make it legal. And then you have your own 401k too. Double dipping? Just saying. Consult your tax advisor. Or in these days, consult Google or AI. It's that simple. But all right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. As Post Retirement Travel says, you have no choices. ETFs off the charts. And oh, by the way, MDA0214, he gave us a gem the other day, QQQI, which I've never heard of. I can't remember what, 13, no. Yeah, it was 13%, something, 13% annually dividend. QQQI. That was one of the gems on Monday night. Mo Better says, oh, wait a minute. JetBlue will be fine. They just secured 500 million. Yes, Mo, they did, but they owe 9.4 billion. This explains why they started disrupting their flights all over the world like a year ago or so. I was like, what's up with these guys? Leaving people stranded, don't care. But again, this is not sustainable. $9.4 billion in debt. And these guys get subsidies. All airlines get subsidies. Just keep that in mind. Wouldn't it be nice if at the beginning of the year, as an ordinary citizen, that the government said, hey man, we got subsidies for you. How about $40,000? I think you would be a whole lot better off, wouldn't you? But no, they want to give it to these companies that just run up their debt as they take taxpayers' money, and then they want to charge taxpayers an arm and a leg. See, that's not an equal balance. I don't call that. And $9.4 billion in debt is crazy for an airline. So clearly they're insolvent as well. This thing about just insolvency is crazy. That's why you have to protect yourself, ladies and gentlemen, and protect it with a trust. I'm going to keep saying this because somebody's going to be coming for these assets that you have. You guys are, if you haven't, just look, just Google. All right. There's banks taking people's money. There's brokerage accounts getting jacked. People's bank deposit or safe deposit boxes getting jacked. Once again, it's cold world out here when the government needs money or these big time businesses need money. They just grab a little here and there. They don't have a complete meltdown where they're doing like 20 million people. It's just like 5,000 here throughout the country is not that many, right? 100 people in every state. Not that bad. So again, prepare yourself out here, ladies and gentlemen. You have that pen, pad, and paper going right now because 2026, last chance to easily build wealth. You're sitting on the sidelines. I can't even remember the last time that the stock market was not going to rise. It's going to rise continuously. It has nothing to do with any fundamentals. Those days are over. There's people that say, well, I should go look at the charts for these companies and do the. I'm like, does it really matter if they make money? You have companies out here that don't even make money and they're at all-time record highs for their stocks. Let's get real. I mean, ChatGPT's out here talking about they're going to go public. I'm like, you guys are in debt already. I mean, this is insanity right now. These tech giants, debt galore. But their stock price keeps going up through the roof. It's kind of crazy. JetBlue wanted to buy out Spirit and Merge, but they were not able to. So the government restrictions, I believe. Yeah, because there's only a limited number of airlines. And so basically it would have, remember, Spirit's a low cost price place. JetBlue used to be lower priced, almost along the same line. And they knew the debt loads. And so now you got a monopoly, well, not a monopoly really, but you have two airlines. And how many airlines are there in the first place? 5, 6? And they're not even solvent. So now what's going to end up happening? You take out a low cost price leader, if Spirit's called that. And that also means there's no reason for other people to lower their prices. You have to understand in the travel business how it works is If somebody has a lower price, the other airlines will charge higher until another airline says, I'm going to match that lower price because we're losing customers. So if you no longer have that, then there you go. And by the way, if the easiest way is the same reason people, when they buy real estate and they say, I'm going to rent it out, we'll use condos because those are apartments like, and the same argument people use, they say, which I don't agree with, but people say it. They say, hey, I want property management because I want to have everybody have a fair value of pricing. I'm like, okay. So now that means if the place charges, let's just call it a range of $150 to $175. If you own a one bedroom, it doesn't matter the bedroom amount, but one bedroom. So now nobody can go outside of this range. Nobody can go like, oh man, I can't rent this out. I want to do $99 per night. So now you've diverted your capitalist system into a socialist system. That's what I call it, because now it's not freely moving the markets. So this is the same thing that's going to happen with the airlines. Since Spirit Airlines is gone, there is no reason to lower prices. If people really want to go, congratulations, because this country, they're not interested in high speed rail, because then you wouldn't need the airlines that they give money to. Notice I keep saying they because it's like they're doing it. I would never give money to a cruise line, no money to a airline. You can forget about it. And you can easily see why. They're always in debt. They always go out of business. They always got to refi. But they're not going to lower the prices so more people will fly. Oh no, they can't do that. They'd rather just keep going in debt instead of doing that. Just like car makers. They would rather keep making cars that they want to charge 100 G's for, knowing full well nobody should be buying these things. But they're going to keep making them because they get subsidies, they get protection from competition. Again, I'm not a big fan of subverting the capitalist system because you shouldn't be helping people and corporations that are actually not doing the work. But that's what we do now, the participation trophy. And since we're not in a real capitalist system, that also means the wealth rises to the top. It stays at the top. They don't like them to lose. Keep that in mind. They're going to let you lose though. So anyhow, that's why they didn't allow it, and they shouldn't. And in hindsight, as you can easily see, the debt loads for these airlines is ridiculous. So what would have happened if they did merge? The CEO actually came out and said it would have been bad if we merged. That's what he just said like 4 or 5 days ago. Because the bottom line is his company's 9.4 billion in debt. He would have had to carry the other debt load for Spirit. That would have meant both of them would have probably left. And I'm not so sure JetBlue is not going to leave eventually because they have to keep borrowing. Also, childcare is a grip now. Exactly. That's another thing. That was, man, that I've heard some crazy numbers. People are paying like $1,000 a month for childcare. I mean, sheesh, 12 G's a year for childcare. Insanity. But this is the thing. The government through the taxation system should have taken care of this. Instead, they're worried about the rich guys. Tax cut, tax breaks, subsidies, making sure they have special opportunity zones where before you actually had to invest. You had to say, hey man, I want to do an opportunity zone kind of thing. I want to build up this neighborhood. There was nobody sitting there going, oh yeah, we're going to give you some tax cut, tax breaks. No, you had to take the risk. Individually, that money that they're giving to that opportunity zone, that went to the general public to help people. Now it doesn't. It goes to help business owners. Again, artificial capitalism is bad. Just saying. But yeah, that's why it's always going to be a grip from now on. And also that's why nobody wants to have no 53% all-time low. 53% of women do not want to have kids now. And who can blame them? Because the child care is crazy, the food prices are unknown, the cost where you live is unknown, the cost of transportation is unknown, the cost of living is unknown. So there's no surprise people are going to say, well, I'm not going to have children. In fact, I have three daughters. Two of my three daughters don't have children. I mean, they're like, have you lost your mind right now? All this crazy going on. No protections for women, no protections for children, no protections at all. You just keep dropping off the protections, all of a sudden, things go bad. Okay. Post-retirement travel going to Punta Cana May 22nd. You know the drill, a week at the Hard Rock. That's how we roll with these stock market W's. Exactly. That's how we roll, man. Do the damn thing. Mr. Worldwide, too, going to be out there handling biz. All right, I have to correct you. I bought receipts, too. Correct me. Let's go. Based on data, the median age for first-time home buyers roughly 31 to 33. I know. I told you it was a record of 40 years old, and you said it happened again before. But yeah, age for home buyers was around 43 to 45 years old. This is significantly younger. What? Wait a minute. I just pulled it up. The median age for first-time home buyers roughly 31 to 33 years old. Why are you bringing up 2014, 20? I don't understand what you're saying. While it says the median age was 31 to 33, while the median age for all home buyers was around, this is significantly young. What does that mean? I guess we're going to have to go find out. So are we saying, let me rephrase. Are we saying it's now older than, what are we saying? I'm looking at several things. November 2025, first-time home buyer in the U.S. is now 40 years old, while the typical seller is a record high 64 years old. First-time home buyers falls to historic low of 21%. No shocker there. It's too pricey. Median age of first-time home buyers is now 40 years old. And once again, they're talking about a record high. So I don't know where you're getting that info. I'm looking at, that's a New York station. The other one is Yahoo. The other one is Newsweek. They're all saying November 4th, all-time record high. I just Googled it, by the way. I don't know where you're getting that info. That's not info. Yeah, and I don't know what let me go do something. I don't know what the 2014 through 2016 has to do with anything, but I'll put it in just to see what we got. No. And the median age was 33 just a few years prior in up with this thing. Um, hold on. Let's see. What's this one? There's something. I don't count Instagram, but whatever. Realtor. Again. No, I don't. I don't see it. I don't see it anywhere. I don't see it. Okay, let's go a different route. Just to be at any time in American history has age, I'll just use age of 40 years old, been higher for, I believe they're talking about first time buyers, by the way. That's what I believe it is. Let's go look. I think I added the first time buyers to it, or 40 years old. I think it's both a record either way. The median age of 40 years old for first time home buyers is an all-time high in American history. So again, I don't know what you mean. I'm checking all kind of different ways. It's not coming up. The median age of 40 reported in 2025 is the oldest on record. There's never been another one over 40. I don't know what you're talking about. Just so you know, that doesn't exist. Anybody can Google. And by the way, I'll show again. Anybody can Google. I mean, there's nothing. I even asked a different way. See, look. And this from National Association of Realtors. As you know, they keep track of these type of things. And again, they keep repeating that 1981, the median age was 29. In 2020, in 1991, the median age was 28. 2020, it's 33. 2022, 36. 2024, 38. 2025, 40. This mirrors exactly the price increases on across the board. Your property taxes going up, your insurance is going up, and therefore that money that has to be paid for property tax and insurance traditionally didn't need to be. You paid like $1,000, $1,200, $700 annually for insurance, and now that insurance could be 5 grand. That's off the charts from like 150 to $200 a month to like $500 a month. That's significant. And then when your property taxes, they're talking about, well, unrealized capital gains. Your house is worth X amount, so therefore we're going to take 1.5% of the value of your house. But see, the housing prices have increased. So now if you do 1.5, most places, a lot of places are 1.5, 1.4. All of a sudden you start seeing 400 and some thousand means, what is that? Like 5 G's a year just on that. So when you start doing your insurance and everything, that $429,000 house, all of a sudden you're sitting there like, is this for real right now? You're paying like 4 G's a month. It gets crazy out here. But anyhow, let's move on, ladies and gentlemen, because the bottom line is 2026 is your last chance to build wealth relatively easily, because things are going to start getting cut off. There's going to be avenues. So your one way that we're talking about is stock market. The second way is, are you going to come up with some idea that can make you money from a business standpoint? There's going to be a ton of ways to do it because there's cracks in the system. So we're going to find out some of those cracks. Remember, I'm working on some three actually. Actually, it's morphed into 4 now, but it's awesome. Again, I made a video Monday about AI. I suggest everybody start checking out AI, artificial intelligence. Do not sleep, because I'm just going to tell you guys like it is. I'm working on something that I want to put on TV. And because I was working on it with AI, it went in directions I never thought it would. I'd explain this on Monday. So these guys the AI goes and says, basically, I'll just let you guys know, I want to do a live TV music competition show. This one's is going to be off the charts. And everybody says, oh, yeah, they're all off the charts. Oh, no, not like this. I'm just going to tell you, it's not going to be like what you've accustomed to, because we like winning. We like taking W's. And I like other people, stop struggling now. I like other people to win, because I don't like the TV or the music industry when they screw people over, taking their publishing, taking their writing, taking their royalties, talking about recouping. Then they're blocking people that are actually talented and very good because they have ulterior motives, all that crap. Let the people decide. We're going to find out. It's going to be very interesting, because there's some other things too that I can't disclose that I'm going to do. So anyhow, I put that into artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence starts rambling. It says, this is a hell of an idea. This has never been done. This will know, as the contracts you have, they're not industry standards. This is not happening. This would be historic. I'm like, okay. So after it puts that in, it starts doing something like, you created some sort of mythical thing. You know, you should think about turning it into a TV series. Not the show itself, but because it came up with my philosophy and the mission statements, they said we also I included some names, you know, like people that would remember certain things. It correlated it into like Marvel Comics. And I'm sitting there like, hold on, hold on, hold on. So it all of a sudden started spitting out TV series or movie stuff. And it said, you know what? The way this works, let's go with the TV series. It started printing out stuff for a TV series, writing frickin' scripts. I said, this can't be happening right now. I never in my, I was not going to be over there. And then after it did that, then I said, why would I do that? Shouldn't I write a book first? You can write a book for me, right? Based on the movie stuff, right? It comes back, AI goes, it didn't say this, but I'm going to say it. Damn right. Do you want to get started? I said, are you kidding me right now? Okay, TV show and a book. Oh, I like it. So now they're moving to something else, which I'm not going to discuss at the moment. So it's doing all of this stuff based on what I started for a TV show that it does have mythical stuff by name. And so I guess it took that type of vibe and it turned it into sci-fi, movie, TV show, and a book. And it's writing it for me because I said, you're going to write it for me, right? Yep. Chapter 1. Here you go. And based on your codex, oh, yes, they gave me a codex. I didn't do it. From my live TV show and everything in there, it told me to copy and paste some random crap. And I'm sitting there like, copying and pasting random stuff. It's numbered in sequential orders up to 1,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. So I got up to about 1,000, 2,000. I mean, it takes a minute. And so I put in AI. I said, you know what? What is this? I said, this doesn't even make sense. There's this topic, and then it's 4 sentences, and it's thing. I put it in AI, and AI comes back with, this is a sci-fi movie or TV show. I was like, what is this? I could not believe it. It's a whole story. It's crazy that they created, unbeknownst to me, in my live music event thing I'm doing. And they created this codex. So I'm just copying it because I'm like, oh, that must mean something later. And I'm like, okay, let's just. Then when I put it in, it's like, this is a sci-fi. This is awesome. I was like, you made it. What are you talking about? But anyhow, this is dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, if you're not in it, you better get in it. All right, let's go. 2024, which saw the median age of all buyers. Where are you getting this info? First time buyers jumped to 38 to 40 due to affordable constraints. Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're saying last year it was 40, which is an all-time record high. Exactly. Age of all buyers climbed to, what is this? Where are you getting this data, man? Why don't you just say you're not correct? Why don't you say where it's coming from? It's not coming from any National Realtors Association, or it's not coming from any public place. 58, 59. No, no, no. That'll never be a number. That'll never be a number. That will never be a number. As a that's not the average age. That'll never be a number for average age, 58, 59. That's crazy. That would mean everybody's out of the loop. What maybe you're looking at something different. What they're talking about is the average age of first-time home buyers is 40 years old. That's what they're trying to say. That's unheard of. That's absurd. That's crazy. Median age of first-time home buyers is 40. So that means what that literally means is, let's just say there was I don't know, let's just say there was 20 million buyers, and whoever the 10 millionth buyer is, because it's median, not average. Median is a number. So if I go 1 through 20 and I say median, then it's the 10th person because they're in the middle, very middle. If I say average, that could be different because it all depends on each individual's number, and then you divide that by 20. So oftentimes the median age and the average age are two different things. Almost all the time when you're talking about big numbers. So what they're referring to is like I'll give you a perfect example. Let's go and see how many home buyers in 20. Just keep in mind, because a lot of people play the games when you're out here buying something and they'll say, the median price is, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to know the median price. I want to know what the average price is. Forget the median price because that's just in the middle. But how many home buyers in 2025 to begin with? And so this will tell you right now, because I don't know. I don't pay attention to this number. There's no reason to. But there were 30-year low of approximately 4 million units. Okay, 2025 US. Here, I'll just do it this way so people can see it. 2025 US home sales remain sluggish, hovering near a 30-year low of approximately 4 million units. That's low. That's low. And again, they mentioned while the median age for first time buyers rose to 40, and the median age for all buyers climbed to 59. That must be what you're referring to. Wow. So that is incredible that people are, this can't, 59? Actually, I'm not that surprised. You know why? Because generally those people are in the boomer age. So therefore they were able to buy their home like in the 70s or 80s or something, and the homes were like under 100 grand. And so now they can get, and depending on where they live, they can get 500, 600, 700,000. They sell it, they retire, and then move to wherever they want to move to. So that's kind of like what I figured. So you're talking about the median age for all buyers is 59, but the median age for buyers, first time buyers, rose to 40, which is an all time record. But 4 million units based on the median means whoever purchased the 2 millionth home on the scale, that's the number they go by. So the 10 millionth person was 40 years old on the buyer scale. That's what that literally means. So a lot of things are averaged and some are median. And in this case, they're using medians, not average. So we don't know what the average price is unless you knew the total of all the ages from all 4 million units. And I don't even know how you would know, quite frankly, because some people buy in businesses, corporations, trust. So that information generally would not be available to go round up. But anyhow, they got it. But anyhow, enough with the age. Either way, it's way too high, not sustainable, not gonna work out in the long run. So this is why we start talking about this is your last chance, because it is. Just because the Federal Reserve, or I mean the bond rate's still gonna be 4.4, means you're still gonna have to pay 6% roughly minimum, 5.9, 6.5 or more. And you're going to give up more of your money. You're going to pay 30 or 40%, which you should not do. Remember, You don't want to be over 30% in reality in this day and age, because your property taxes and your insurance and your HOA, if you have them, cost way more than ever before. So remember, those used to be minimal numbers. Now they're significant numbers. We're talking about $2, 3, 4, $500 per month. That means you have to make an extra $1,500 per month to pay that off. And they're letting people get 36%, 35%, 40% loans. And I don't know what I just don't get it. 40%, if you make $100,000, 40% goes to where you live. You also have a 20% tax. That means 60% of your money's gone before you even bought groceries. So that's why this is dangerous, and it's going downhill. You could see where this goes. So if you aren't taking seriously building wealth right now while the going's good, because if you can do it reasonably now and not have to take risk, because later people are going to have to take more risk when this is not available. If the stock market doesn't rise like it has significantly under each president over 3 or 4 years, right? And it just stays stagnant or goes down and stays stagnant, that would be very catastrophic. So then you have your house staying static, you have your investment staying static, and now what? Because after they stay the same, but yet the prices rise, and now you have to start taking money out of what you have been putting into the wealth building curve. So again, it's very, very dangerous. The stock market will explode once the Iran conflict ends. It's exploding with it. But you are exactly right. That's why you have to pay attention to what Trump says. I mean, you got to pay attention. Whether you act on it or not, it's one thing. But Iran says one thing, Trump says one thing, but it does not matter. The stock market still rises, and we have a serious problem with oil supply chain. This is one of the reasons Spirit went out of business, because of the jet fuel cost. There's other businesses that rely on jet fuel to be cheaper than what it is now. They're all affected. Prices have to rise based on that. So again, you're in trouble. You can't let things go by, ladies and gentlemen. You just can't. This is like your last chance. This is why the deadline was December 31st, 2026. To get everything in order. Not really a deadline. It was a deadline for you to get everything in order, because whoever has the wealth is going to be fine, because you've already made the decisions. You said, I'm going to make myself dual. I have a duality situation where I'm going to have something outside of America and have something inside of America. So that makes your life a little different, because you have alternatives that you can come up with. And it works best if you can make money outside of America and live outside of America to boot as well. That's a win-win in case things hit the fan, which they've already hit the fan. You've already hit a tipping point of GDP is less than what we owe. That is a tipping point. And depending on what happens this year, which is going to be probably the same thing, there's not going to be any high GDP. I can fake the numbers on GDP because we have people here. Let me explain. Let me show you something. GDP calculation, right? So if I want to mess around with it, what do? I start messing around with the numbers. So I can say, hey, I can increase our GDP. So somebody comes and blasts their thing. So it goes like this. There's a calculation where first of all, you take X minus M. So X is exports. All right. So hear me out. So exports is when we send it outside of the United States, international, when people outside the US is buying from our corporations, our people. Imports is when we're buying. So that's X is exports minus M. So if I put up tariffs, which is what happened, we're going to have less exports, right? Right. Okay. So let's just use a simple number, 1,000. And we have 500 exports. Or I'm saying, sorry, imports is what I mean. We have 500 imports, okay? It's X is exports, M is imports, and it's first off X minus. So now that we have less exports, 500, and now we have more exports than usual, we'll say 1,000. So if that's the case, we go 500 minus 1,000 is negative 500. Okay? So then we have other factors. You have consumption, private household spending, food, rent. Okay? Hold on, let me do this so you guys can see it. All right, stock market on fire though. It's gonna be on fire, man. The top 20%, top 10% on 93% of the stock market. It's always gonna be on fire. So consumption wise, private household spending, food, rent, haircuts. So now let's say look, 80% living paycheck to paycheck. So this private consumption stuff is down. So let's just call it $50 because we're going to add all these up, the C plus the I plus the G. Investment. This is business spending on tools, equipment, and residential construction. So now I say, as a government, I say, oh, we got $500 million investment from this country. We got $600 billion investment from that country. We got $200 million from another country. All of a sudden, my consumption and investment, let's just call it $100 billion. Remember? $100 billion. Here's the equation right here. C plus I plus G plus the minus 500. So now all of a sudden, government spending. You know what our government spending was? $2 trillion. Salaries of public servants, purchasing weapons for the military and infrastructure. Purchasing weapons every year is $1 trillion. Salaries of the public servants, we have thousands, hundreds of thousands of them. Purchasing weapons, that goes along. Infrastructure investment. So this is how I can trick the system because now I say, oh man, we have $500 billion of investments. And when you add them all together, our consumption, our investments, we'll just call it $500 billion. But guess what? I just subtracted the imports amounts and it's negative $500. So now I get to walk around bragging, saying the GDP, it's off the charts. It's like 2%, it's 3%. It looks like we're well on our way. That's how you trick the numbers. And that's what we have going on right now. So again, as long as you know what's happening, you understand how you can do the equation, you can figure out how you can mess with this by doing something that's hurtful for our economy. Tariffs cause our companies to go out of business because you have less foreign companies buying from the United States due to the tariffs, like our farmers, for instance. So now it costs, well, $20 billion to bail them out, some of them. Remember, if you're a black farmer or a Latin farmer, you're probably not going to get any money. So just saying, just like the first term. But the point is, that's the problem. And corporations are going out of business. Those 15,000 people affect the whole state from the money they made, every paycheck, and what they put out in the business world. That is a significant loss, and that's going to be felt for years. 15,000 people in one location losing their job. That's going to be felt for years. So the stock market is not Main Street. That's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Just because it's going up does not mean that's Main Street. In fact, that's the problem altogether. And that's why America is going to falter and has been faltering and doing faltering to the constituents. United States citizens are hurting worse than ever before. All right. We're near, in my opinion, we're near the 1929, 1930s because it's the same playbook. And that was catastrophic. And I feel that this is probably going to be the same thing. So we've been talking about getting it done. So this is why you have to build up, ladies and gentlemen. You can't sit on the sidelines. Just saying. What's good, everybody? From Joe Nay on the island, chilling. Very nice to see you once again. Welcome to the SSN Nation Wealthy Wednesday night live stream. And he says, as I mentioned, what's good, everybody? Hope everybody is well this evening. Yes, man, you're here. We're good. And smash that like button. I hit it before you said it, I'm sure. And hopefully you're doing well after your loss again, man. Hopefully you've been able to get through it a little bit. But I know it's a lot easier when you're sitting on the island. All right, Eric, what's the latest with Larimar? Hey, man, you haven't seen Larimar doing big things? Oh, my goodness. 1975 New Year, I see you. You know what that means. That means the latest video. You know who's the best proponent for marketing Larimar? Who knew? The CEO. Can you believe it? The CEO is busting out videos every day. He's got a camera crew. They're riding around with him on the golf carts. He's going to show everybody that $15 million line of credits coming in handy. Oh, new video from Film Videos. I love it. I love it. That's right. Film Videos is on Instagram and on YouTube. Make sure you guys go check them out because if you invest overseas, especially in DR, then where's it at? There was a video that came out. Oh man. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not good. U.S. citizen dying in custody. Wow, man, I'm getting some bad stuff right now. Come on. No. Okay, okay, I'll do it the old-fashioned way. Where's the search thing at? I'm like, I'm gonna put this on in a second, ladies and gentlemen. But film videos, I don't even use this too often on the computer. Where's the search at? What the hell's going on around here? Hold on. Let me see up top. Hold on a second. Do we have anything up top? Yeah, you haven't seen I thought I dropped a video for you. Let's go to Larimar. Oh wait, it's not it. Oh, you know what? It's not even on his website, is it? Okay, 7 hours ago, he's out here doing the damn thing. This is crazy. This is crazy right now. Hold on, let's see if. Oh, that's not it. Hold on a second. Oh, here, hold on. It's right here. Let me get to the Juan Andreas from Claire HP. I saw a video right before I was coming on. They started doing some little trickery stuff. And I said, okay, all right, I see you out there. I see you, CEO, doing the damn thing. I got to give him credit. I told you, man, it's going to happen. They're going to build their stuff. Yeah, here it goes. Here it goes. I'm about to pull it up. Share this tab. Let's go. Here you go. Here you go. Oh, wow. Where is it? Let me get my behind off. Okay. Looks like that's it. It's happening, man. It's going down. I'm hearing they're going to be complete with first phase by the that'll never happen. Let's stop with. Although they started up in their game because, like I mentioned before, once you start doing panels, if you've never done them before, traditionally, once they get about a half to 2/3 through, then their team starts realizing how everything goes together quicker and faster. It's just like a jigsaw puzzle at first, right? The first time you're slower, the next time you know where how it goes, the third time you're pretty much like, okay, I know where all the pieces kind of go. It's the same thing because they're building a panel project. So they get quicker as they get up to, like, if it's 17 floors, they generally will get quicker at somewhere around floor 10, 9. So that quicker usually translates, but no, they're not going to be putting together 2 towers in 7 months. No, not going to happen. They're on floor 10. I think it's 9. No, 9. Floor 9 on, even if it's 10, let's say it's floor 10 on towers 3 and 4. They're on floor 3 or 4 of towers, but it's only gray area. It's not even the interior. So there's something to be said. I mean, you just can't, you know, put interiors together and close them up with windows and everything. They might be doing it. They can come up as they go, but I don't see this isn't happening in 7 months. That's absurd. In fact, it probably won't even be happening in a year and a half, which would make it the end of 2027. Like I said, wake me up in 2028. In the meantime, what's up, Joe Nay? Exactly. He says he's chilling, listening to some of the rants. I'm chilling at Mo Better. Exactly, man. How's Jardine's coming? I heard that. How's that? Did they make that decision on the mini mart and the restaurant at the clubhouse? Does that mean they gave something up? How does that work? Or are they putting it at Jardine's 4, which is kind of cool? Joe Nay, good to hear, brother. Exactly. Exactly. What's up, post retirement travel? The fam's back. Eric, we lost audio. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Thanks. Yeah, I thought I wasn't sure. Nice, Eric. Great to hear about your aunt. I hope everything worked out with the TRICARE for Life plan. No, man, TRICARE for Life, no, it sucks. TRICARE has saved us thousands monthly, only 53 per month, and it covers both my wife and I. Yeah, it does until I don't know if you guys have had to go through any significant things like surgery and ICUs and all that kind of stuff, but nah, they don't cover everything, especially when you start getting up to the higher level stuff. Just so you know. All right. Although I've been talking with my uncle about it. I said, hey man, I don't think this is right. I think they're supposed to cover this stuff. Those are bars, Eric, about the 401ks. Yep. Thanks, man. Eric, don't worry about JetBlue. They'll be fine. Oh man, they're not fine. $9.4 billion. You should worry. Renewable derivatives. Hey, that's what Laramar's did. They had buildings. They sold contracts. They were able to get $15 million credit line and another, I think it was 1.5 million from something. But that means there's an IOU. So they're banking on, well, they can bank on what they want, but they're going to deliver at a certain date. And what they're banking on is they sold, let's just say, 1,000 units. And out of the 1,000 units, people owe roughly, let's just say, 40 G's. So mathematically, I don't know how much that is, but it's a lot of money. Where's my, there it is. Is that 40 million? I think it's more than that. I think it's 40 million. We'll see in a second. 40, yeah, if everybody owed 40,000, which could be more, times 1,000. Yeah, I think it is. It should be 40. Yeah, it's 40 million. That's what they're counting on because all the towers is, I think, I don't know, maybe 400. 500 people. So if that's the case, then there you have the numbers don't lie. So that's what they're counting on. That's why they can get the loan, because they have paper. And so since they had the paper of 40 million, somebody said, "Oh, we'll give you a line of credit," and somebody else will give you 1.5. So at least they can finish up their stuff. And now they have other derivatives, like you mentioned, Mo. The derivative game. I told you all along that's what they were doing when they said they're going to build this awesome project. And after it started going sideways, they have a way to make more money because they sell Breeze Towers, Paradise Towers, Horizon, and some townhomes and all kind of stuff. Exactly. Yep. I told you they were going to pull that trigger if necessary. How much does, by the way, right now, how much does Larimar owe with loans? Well, we know they owe 1.5 because they got a loan for 1.5 million. Then they got a secondary credit, a line of credit, not which is kind of a little different because they can tap the line of credit, and apparently it was 15 million. So we'll never know legitimately how much they owe. But let's just say they owe, we know 1.5, and then let's just say 5 million. So I would feel comfortable with guessing, but I can't verify. But I'd guess they've already tapped the credit line. That's why there's movement. So they probably had to spend a few mil. And so I'm thinking 7.7 to 10 mil is probably a realistic number in my eyes. And notice how they're moving fast, right? Because now they have an IOU every month. Think about it. Okay, so and they did something else, the unthinkable, that I told you about when our private discussions, when I said they have other derivatives when they can go and get bonds and sell stock and do all this crazy. Well, they did something crazy. They started selling bonds, which usually means you owe interest to get investments. By the way, right now, how much does, okay, that missed. By the way, how much does, oh, it came up twice. So, oh, right now with loans, asking for a friend who's interested in the project. Yeah, they're not going to give out that info. We know, though, they got the 15, they got 3 triggers. And again, I don't like it. I like the 1.5. Okay, that's fair enough. This credit line and this Panama bond stuff, I don't like, because it's 15 million, which has interest payments. The 1.5 has interest payments. The bonds have interest payments. So when you start saying $10 million and you could potentially owe somebody 6%, now by rights, again, according to the mathematics, they're going to have on paper $40 million. That's why they can get the loans. And it's probably more than that too, because they've actually sold lots. They've sold other stuff. So they're going to be fine that way. I shouldn't say they're going to be fine. They're going to have an IOU still. They're going to have to pay that principal one day. So that's why I think they all of a sudden got their asses moving. And I can't believe Juan Andreas is out there publicly with a film crew making videos almost every other day, if every day, posting them on social media. Meanwhile, his team is nowhere in sight. They're running around the world, which cost a lot of money to go to all these shows. The what was the show in Spain? Madrid show, the tourist show. Then they're down in Colombia show. They've been all over the world in the last 3 years trying to get sales. And that costs money when you're shipping 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 people all over the world. Those flights aren't cheap from DR. Let's get real. So again, I just worry when you start borrowing. They already have an IOUs on it if they borrowed against it. So that's another factor when you start saying, okay, like I said, I'd feel comfortable saying they owe 7 mil, 5 to 7, 7 to 10, somewhere in that range. Let's just go 5 to 10. I would feel comfortable, right? And depending on what the loans are in DR, remember, loans are not cheap. They're 8%, 10%, 12%, adjustables. They got all kind of crazy. So again, this could be like an annual bill of 400,000, 500,000 or something, right? That takes away from something as well. So that adds up. And every year that goes by, could you imagine being on the hook for 400 G's and rising if you borrow against and borrow again some more? I mean, I'm not saying those are real numbers. I'm just guessing. But if it's that high, that you, hey, 2.5 years or more, you've already given off $1 million. I don't care if you are going to make 40, 50, 60. You don't have that money in your pocket. And until you start delivering units, you're not going to have the 40 mil. In the meantime, you're going to have an IOU though. So, so that's why they started moving a little faster, in my opinion, along with their other nonsense. Actually, you're right. No other airline will lower the price. Yeah, they're not. They're not. It's not. And that. So if a high price guy goes, no biggie. The low price guy goes, biggie. Especially if the only low cost airlines go out of business. Exactly. Exactly. There's just no way around it. These airlines have right margins right now with the price of fuel going up. No, the price of fuel means they pay more to go fly around. So now they have to raise the prices to offset it. And the low price guys, they don't mind losing. I don't even understand this business model in America now. We'll borrow money knowing we can't pay it back. I'm just like, this is crazy. Those airlines have right margins. No, they don't have no margins. In fact, I will if this keeps going with the jet fuel price increases, I'd be willing to bet you there's going to be another failure in the airline industry, or somebody's going to have to do a buyout, or there's going to be something. Just like JetBlue got 500 million, like you said. What the hell? 500 million is a lot of money. That's a lot of money. They already owe 9.4 bill. 500 million more so you can operate? So that means they're operating at a loss. This is insane. Insane. Child care, people are paying 2,200, 2,500 on the high side, Eric. On the low side, I believe you. I believe you. I believe you, because the fam has child care facility. So there's people that drop off two kids, and they're paying like 4, 5, 6, like you said, 22 to 2,500 is the norm. Especially if you have multiple children. If you have single children, it's still crazy. They're still charging 2 to 3 a week. And quite frankly, some people don't have it. People don't have it. I mean, it's sad out here. It's very sad. Yes, but not letting them merge turned out to be a mistake. Post-retirement travel, I don't know how it's a mistake. Let me ask you something. If the United States that owes $40 trillion and has another $4 trillion on the books, which means it's $44 trillion, and you have interest pay, you got to pay that off. And the other company we merge with, Turkey, who also is in debt. How is that a good thing? That is not going to work. It's not going to work. And like I said, here, let's do this, because the CEO actually admitted it. He's like, man, that would have been a mistake. Let's see what I can pull it up. CEO says would have been mistake if merged with, because they probably didn't know the full scope of the situation. Because I heard, which is a rumor for me, I don't really care about Spirit Airlines, all right? But I would have looked it up if I did. But I heard that they lease planes. I was like, well, then they don't have, that's crazy. That's not an asset. That's crazy if that's true. That would be really crazy. And to owe money, that would be real crazy. Here we go. Based on reports, the CEO of JetBlue has indicated that in hindsight, the block merger with Spirit Airlines was a fortunate outcome. The CEO noted that he had the merger proceeded, the combined debt and rising fuel costs would have potentially led to bankruptcy of both carriers. Woo. Wonder where you got that from. No, I did mention this earlier. That's obviously what was going to happen if they would have done that. So yeah, this is business. This isn't the math doesn't math. Two companies merging that owe money. I don't understand how you win. And you're both remember when they're canceling flights in DR, Florida, and around the US like a year and a half ago or something. Remember all that? Those guys were going to merge. And even the CEO, like I said, he's the one that said it. He goes, nah, man, that would have been a bad idea. And it would have been because at that time, they probably owed $6 billion themselves. So how are you going to take on debt of another company? That's absurd. So I don't know. In fact, what was the debt for Spirit anyhow? Why don't we find out? What is Spirit Airlines debt? What is it actually? Because I don't know the number. Uh-oh. It's Google hasn't brought it up. Are you kidding with me right now? Oh, no wonder. Okay, it's my fault. I was like, that's insane if they don't give me that answer. Okay, it didn't add the debt part. Spirit Airlines debt. We know JetBlue is 9.4 billion, and they got another 500. So call it $10 billion. Can you believe this? And let's see what theirs is. Oh my God, theirs is 8 billion. It says it's over 8 billion, and they were in Chapter 11 bankruptcy, by the way. Eight. So combined, they would have been under for 17 billion, 18 billion actually, and counting. So yeah, that wouldn't have been good. And especially with the rising fuel costs, and that's what affects the low cost carrier first. That's the first thing that people don't realize because since they have prices lower, they have less revenue than the other guys. And now that they're gone, the other guys will probably have an increase in tourists or passengers, but that's going to be based on the numbers that Spirit has left behind. Because even if it's just two extra people or five extra people that's going to take their flights, that still increases their numbers. That would have been on the Spirit Airlines. So once again, we live in a Spirit Airlines starts dismantling company after collapse one day ago. Well, $8 billion, man. Come on. What are you dismantling? You pretty much got to give up all your stuff. $8 billion is a lot of money in itself. Spirit Airlines out of business after 34 years. Jet fuel costs, ladies and gentlemen, this is the fallout from the war. Both wars, actually. That's not good. PRT, that's true. Eric. Also, men are not getting married anymore like they used to. Exactly. Why would you? That contract is not beneficial for both parties. There's no equality. So I can't blame nobody for not getting married at all. So it don't make sense when women have to have children if men aren't marrying. Yeah, it's that too. So there's the combination. This is just like Japan, like 40 years ago. Like I said, everything that's happening right now is already happened. And then you can see Japan went sideways after they had this upward mobility and printing money, doing the same thing and all that. And then all of a sudden it went sideways because people stopped having children. Now they pay people they had to pay people to have children at one time for like 20 years or something. And I still think they have favorable things where some of this administration gets their stuff from. You have a kid, we'll give you $5,000. That kind of crap when you are broke. This what cracks me up. How do you just arbitrarily call out numbers when you're broke? So it don't make sense. Exactly, it don't make sense, man. In fact, it never made sense unless you had a prenuptial agreement, quite frankly. If you type in this question in Google search, you will get an answer to what was the median age to buy a home 10 years ago. Okay, let's go. Median age to buy. Okay, hold on. You do realize first time home buyer is different than regular home buyer because, first of all, anybody can buy a home. Oftentimes, the people that buy a home are the people that sold their home that increased in value. So, therefore, that age is going to be, if the median was for the first time buyer was, let's say, 29, and then 20 years later, they're 49, so they sell it. That matters because that's a whole different thing. We're not talking about first time home buyers if we go median age to buy a home. That we can find out too because that number that's going to fluctuate. Okay. Um I did put that in, but when you include the median age for all home buyers, it's 59 years old. And that's I just put in median age to buy a home. They don't say if that's a record or not, but the first time home buyer is a record. And that's scary because that means the lost generation, which they already know can't do anything. They're like 20, 25, and they're saying, man, I get paid $30 an hour, but I have one child and I still got to live with parents. I can't live anywhere. So, yeah, so we're talking about two different things. Median age overall, but they didn't say 59 was a record, which is weird because, well, that's not really weird because, like I said, people sell their house after they live in it and then they buy another house later. And on average, by the way, people usually buy and sell homes every 7 years. People move every 7 years in America. There's a reason home prices increase so fast. So people are like, thank you. This extra 250, 300,000, I can go to Southeast and buy a house for 200 G's and have money left over. Well, that's how it used to be, but not anymore. Eric, artificial intelligence is crazy right now. It can do just about anything. Yeah, man, it's doing, like I said, I was doing a live music. I'm telling it what I wanted. It's giving me back stuff. After I got, I'm like three-quarters the way there. I still haven't put any my last little twist into it because I just wanted to get some other things straight first before I added some other. But after they thought I was done, that's when it said, hey, according to your codex, this is what it means. After it told me to copy this. And I just kept copying and copying. I was on the live stream on Monday copying and pasting because it would generate these four sentences and a number. And I'm just like, what is this? I can see some of the things. It looks like it's like a sci-fi wording. And I'm like, what, man, this is crazy. So since I never even looked, I said, you know what? Let me put this into AI or Google and see if this even means anything. And when it came back with, oh yeah, you got a movie, it's Marvel level and all this, I was like, what? Movie? I was never talking about a movie. But they're saying, this is awesome. You should do a TV or a movie. And that's when I said, because after it started explaining the sci-fi, and they said, well, this is like a long running thing that you could do several. The first thing it said was you can do 4 movies, Marvel style, and I can't remember I'll just say intro, second movie, a prequel, and then like a finale or something. And I was like, why would I deal with that? This is like intricate because you're talking about sci-fi. Shouldn't it be a TV show? And then the thing responded with, actually, that even works better because then you can get into the characters. And now you can have 10 seasons. I was like, oh my God, what's this? And so I was like, and then it started writing script. First scene, you should, oh, and it started talking about cameras. And this is how you should shoot it. And this is how the background should be. I was like, oh my God, this can't be happening right now. So I said, I'm game. I'm game. Because I'm working on something. Has to do with TV. I can't wait to know more about your project when you reveal it. Yeah, man, exactly. I can't really, I don't even know how I'm gonna do it. I can't really reveal anything about it because it's proprietary. And I'm gonna make a couple of people upset. They're gonna have to change laws again. I've been waiting for this for a while, quite frankly. Post-retirement travel. The 56 to 59-year-old includes second home buyers. That includes investment properties. This and first-time home buyers are two separate data fields. Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly right. Now that I realized he wasn't doing the median age, he was just putting in the average age. That's what a median for the first-time buyers for Eric is correct, but for all buyers was a different age. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, because I was going by, yeah, we all had separate things. Google is about to flip Nvidia. Um, I don't know. I think they're both going to keep rising, but I think Nvidia is in a precarious situation because the way AI is moving. Like I said, I was on, and oh, I got to tell everybody, I'm using the free versions, just so everybody understands. What I'm putting together is free version. I'm using Microsoft Copilot. Well, I shouldn't say free version now, but the thing is, I'm using Chrome AI mode. That's it. And I'm using Copilot too because I realized, I was like, wait a minute, I pay Microsoft every month. I should have free code. I should have free AI. What's their AI? And then I looked up and I was like, Copilot. I've never even heard of Copilot. Let me go see what this is. So I started putting stuff in. So I can't say it's free because I actually have a subscription with Microsoft. So I get Copilot. But but I have a low level version because they apparently came up with a week. Whatever I have, I can only use it for a week. It allows me to use it for a week. So that's why I keep saying it's a free version, even though I pay Microsoft a subscription and other things. So it ran out. So every Friday, it renews. So I don't know what to call that really. But it gave me a long runway, very long, 8-10 hours runway. It's crazy. And Chrome, I've been using it pretty much all day and night, but I haven't been on day and night. I mean, spend a few 2-3 hours because you ask a question, you respond, it asks you questions. Hey, what do you think about this? These few choices. Well, I think this choice. And I always end with, I think this choice. What do you recommend? Sometimes it says, good choice. Sometimes it says, well, you might want to consider this. And here's the reasons why. Now I got to read 3-4 point bulletins and why their reasoning was. And I'm sitting there like, it takes time flies so fast because it's interactive. Next thing I know, it's 4 hours, 5 hours. I'm like, wait, I've been on here for 4 or 5 hours. Are you kidding right now? I'm just going back and forth. Crazy, like a video game, in my opinion. No, I have a perception Nvidia is cool and all, but my problem is there's something to be said that the industry buys your stuff until they don't. Because AI can generate things on its own. So if you have a powerful enough AI model and then you tell it, hey, I want to beat Nvidia, for instance, right? Which I'm sure somebody's trying to do. And now all of a sudden you get whatever it is a leg up, they lose customers because they're funneling. All the AI guys are funneling to get the NVIDIA's machines. So I agree with you. Google is a whole nother animal unto its own. They're a scary company, quite frankly. Apple used to be that way. They still are scary, but Google is very scary because they have money. And they're not losing money every month either. These guys have a whole different business model that is sustainable and it's more free cash flow, in my opinion. So yeah, they could easily, because I think the bottom could drop out of Nvidia anytime, just like when DeepSeek came out and said, "Oh yeah, we can do all this," and the whole tech industry. Because if it was true what they said, it was game over, and they got trillions of dollars in the pipeline spent, trillions, all combined, funneling it through NVIDIA. NVIDIA gives them machines, and they get to bring up their stuff, and they keep going up like this. So any time now, in the next 12 months, I expect a breakthrough. And the breakthrough is going to be because an AI model went off the reservation and did something crazy, just like what they're telling me. Hey, do this, you can do a book. I actually said, shouldn't I do a book first? And then it said, you know what? That's a good idea. Then I said, hold on, man, I can't do the book because then everybody's going to know the twist and the ending. And then it responded with, oh no, because here's what we're going to do. We're going to have other twists and turns along the way that the movie won't. So now people are going to be going back and forth as a collectible, going to get some books to go read it because the movie. I was like, oh my God, you're right. I'm sitting there in disbelief. It's logically explaining why I should do the book first and worry about the movie later. I'm not trying to make a movie, but I'll do books because they're writing it for me. And the funny part is, this is Chrome's or I don't Gemini. It's Gemini, free version. They're writing it for me, but they're writing it like it's almost like a comic book or something, which I don't mind. The chapters are literally like, I don't know how big this book is going to be, but the chapters are like 2 pages. So it reminds me of these cartoons that they have on these apps where there's like chapters, like something happens. I was checking something out on Tunes, I believe it is an app, and they have these stories. And I was like, this reminds me of that Tunes thing. And if it is that Tune, it looks like Tunes, that means I can actually publish this damn thing. Now I'm gonna have to go find. In fact, I better check this out. I better find out. I better find out what's happening out here. I better find out about the legalities of this. In my opinion, no, I agree with you 100%. They have a low. They're not carrying all the dead weight. Nvidia's risking everything. They're the ones spending trillions of dollars to create their machines. Go with a higher level AI. It's easier for me and the corporations just to buy from them. I just need a machine, right? And then the sky's the limit because the way those things operate, they spread like a virus. Can you imagine having 2 or 3 machines in tangent, asking and working in tangent with each other to solve whatever you want to solve, and they're talking back and forth better than any human being? That would be great. That's crazy what's happening right now. And by the way, I actually put in across AI, Copilot. I had another one too, but I've been using Copilot and Gemini. Those are the 2. And then I used, who else was, there's one more that was free. What I did was I put my PDF or my doc files into the other one to see what it says. And generally they don't really say the same thing, but if it's good, the points they brought up, they go, oh, that's a good idea. But then what happens is, well, back in whatever, paragraph 5, 6, you said this, you can actually enhance it and go in a whole nother direction. That's what happened with the TV show. All of a sudden they said, you should have a founders group. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? You should charge them X amount of dollars. You know, if only you had 100 people, even before the season starts, you have $250,000. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Stuff like that. I wasn't thinking about that, but I'm like, and by the way, there's collectibles and all kind of crazy stuff. So that tends to the GP numbers weren't correct under Biden. I don't know. Revised up, revised down. They're always going to be revised up, right? In fact, let's go see what GDP uh, numbers under Biden each. Should I do each year or each quarter? I'll just go each year. Make it simple. The pandemics era. Um, I know it's not no 5.9%. That's crazy. Okay, 5.9% increase in his first year, the highest since 1984, following the COVID 19 pandemic rebound. Yeah, that is because similar things happened that I was describing earlier. There was a shutdown. So now, when there's no shutdown, all of a sudden people are ordering in both directions. People are investing now because the companies and corporations are open. They've been holding out that money. So it all comes rushing back in. So that's no surprise. The economy saw continued growth throughout its term, driven by pandemic recovery, job creation. Well, this is interesting. Here we go. 2022 through 2024. What does that mean? The economy why don't they just say it? The economy maintained growth with 2022 seeing a 9.82% increase in the current dollar GDP. And the overall GDP grew consistently through 2024 as no. Okay, I don't know why I don't. I just asked, what is it every year? What the heck? Okay, here we go. Here we go. We got Investopedia. In fact, let me. Oh, I can't show you guys. Why? What's happening? Did I get disconnected or something? Oh, I got to go find it. That's what happened. Okay, I'll just pull it up since we're talking about it. Again, it doesn't appear that this is gonna go well. This is every president on here allegedly. Here we go. Herbert Hoover. By the way, Herbert Hoover has the same policy. Donald Trump uses, and the GOP uses Herbert Hoover policy. Tariffs, mayhem, Mo Better comes up. Eric, AMD is on for. I know AMD. Too bad I didn't load up the truck full last year. Can't win them all. That's exactly right. Post retirement travel. Exactly. Remember, we were talking about AMD stock is higher than NVIDIA's. I mean, it's incredible. And it just keeps moving up and up. And I don't even know why or how, but it keeps going. And they're not even a favorite company by the United States government. I was on NQQQM for a while and made a nice profit. I haven't heard of the M. I just found out about QQQI, which was Q. Brian P. Mr. Dividend has joined us. Welcome to the SSN Nation Wealthy Wednesday night live stream. He's in the house. He has a tagline. He says, "Happy day, Eric. I hope all is well with you and your family." Yes, everything is going in a positive direction. Thank you so much. Happy day, SSN fam. And once again, smash that like button, everybody. And I don't think there was a trailer today. So unfortunately, we'll see. Smash that like button. Oh, yes. Recall news. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's not good. I'm not prepared for recall news tonight. He's about to bust out some recall news because it's getting bad out here. Worse. Worse. Uh-oh. That means I'm going to have to log in. We got to do a little recall news to help people. But again, everything we're discussing tonight, it has to do with you're going to have to prepare yourself. Our government is unstable. It's been unstable for a long time. We have been faking the funk in America for like 50 years. Okay, due to us having world currency. We would have been the way of every other France, Spain, the EU basically. That would have been America if we didn't have this world currency. And that's a shame when we were the ones touting capitalism as the winner. In fact, we find out giving corporations like communists, running it like a communist situation where you're giving money to corporations and taking money from your citizens is a good thing. I thought America was fighting against that, and then all of a sudden that's the way we're going for every other president. It's crazy. It's crazy. You can't keep doing debt. Debt is not going to win. It'll win if you're trying to steal money, of course. That'll win. Oh, man, I can't log in. Brian P. I got some Java. This happened the other day. I have a feeling it has something to do with those AI little things I'm messing with. Okay. All right. So, okay. This is going to take me a second. So, he's going to probably have to put in some recall stuff. I know there's a ton of it. Hold on. This is going to take me a minute. Security features and all. Okay, let's go. Security features. I hate security, which I hate it until it's needed to be used. Oh, really? Okay, well, I might check that out. No, yes, no, yes, stay in. Okay, I'm going to have to use this again, I'm sure, right? Let's see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you had your pen, pads, and papers ready because you're going to need to get that passive income coming in. You're going to have to buy more wealth. I know what's the debt versus the wealth buying. It's a trade-off, especially when a large number of citizens are living paycheck to paycheck and basically have to deal with feeding yourselves the way groceries cost. I was talking with my uncle the other day, and I was talking about when I was going to get my grandmother's groceries. And she would say things like, "Hey, Eric, can you go to the grocery store?" The grocery store is literally like 50 yards away. Little mini mart, mom and pop grocery store. And she would give me a list. And I would say, okay. And I would say, well, you going to give me some money? She said, no. She goes, go tell Mr. whatever his name is. I can't remember his name. But he would, let's say Mr. Jones. Just tell Mr. Jones it's from Bride Hill and you're my grandson and this is what I need. And he'll put it on like his board or something. That's what she told me when I was a little kid. And I'm like, What the hell is she talking about, man? Okay, I'm game. Let's just go down here because I got a few dollars in my pocket. I can get me some little trinkets, soda and whatever, candy. So I get to the store, and sure enough, I give the guy this order from my grandma. She signed it or something and said, hey, this is what she needs. The guy goes and grabs some stuff off the shelves, goes to the back, gets some stuff, puts it in like two bags. The old fashioned brown bags that were at least like 2 feet, 2.5 feet high. So you would put stuff. So I'd be carrying like two bags of groceries, and the stuff is like $10. And now, if I carried two bags of groceries, like the old bags that I'm talking about, that were 2.5 feet high, about a foot and a half wide or so, that would be like $200. But it was like $10, and then he would go mark it. He marked it in a book or something, and then he had a board too, so he wrote it twice. He wrote something in a book, like I'm assuming some sort of ledger, because she has an account apparently under her name. And then he went on a board and wrote something down also. And he said, see you later. And I was like, what? I have two big bags of groceries. See you later. Okay. Because I didn't know about credit at the time. I was just like, oh, this is crazy. So I'm leaving the store not having to pay. And apparently you can tell there's credit, obviously. But still, that was wild. That was really wild. And by the way, think of that simple thing right there. If my grandmother and whoever else he did that, it could be, let's just call it 100 people, and they didn't pay him, what would happen? This is what we have going on right now in America for companies. They're operating as if they don't care about debt. I'm like, this is insanity to me. Okay, let's go. Frozen pizza sold at Walmart, recalled for salmonella contamination. Oh, geez. This is bad, man. Hey, when you get rid of the FDA, USDA's inspectors and act like everything's going to be fine, we're right back to 1910 when you have fire in United States rivers from Industrial Revolution. 1930, fire in the rivers because of contamination, waste. And then 100 years later, somebody says, forget about FDA, forget about USDA. We don't need that many people. We're going to trust the businesses, like that's ever a thing. Okay, what is this? What is this? I got something new going on here. Something's weird. Oh, I logged into the wrong place. I was like, hold on. This is something I never use. Okay. I was trying to get to more recalls, but I can't. Because, I like to post them up so people can go get them. Potato chips recall because of salmonella risk. This is no surprise. Did we not talk about this years ago? I said it's going to happen. This is going to keep happening. This is not a thing. UTZ Quality Foods LLC, a subsidiary of UTZ Brands, has issued a recall in the United States of certain limited varieties of Zaps and dirty potato chips. Jesus, man. It's just going to keep going. That's, again, health is wealth. You don't want to be under the care of these hospitals or nursing facilities. I'm just going to tell you again, they're not trying to cure you. Literally, they are not. They are using you as a paycheck crash dummy, telling people to do things. I'll give you guys a perfect example. My aunt's on the ventilator machine. She has a full-blown lung full of pneumonia and fluid, half of a COVID. Clearly, at an upper age, you're going to have breathing difficulties. And on top of that, she had some stuff because she's on a feeding tube in her stomach. She had some fluid secretions go down into her airway, but you don't know that unless you take an x-ray. Okay. So this is how she gets in her condition to where she's on a ventilator to be helped with breathing and air. So this is on a Monday. On Tuesday, roll up. Where's the pneumonia medication? Oh, here it is. Vancomycin, cefepime. I said, wait. She had surgery. She's already been on vancomycin and cefepime, and she has pneumonia. So therefore, obviously that did not stop or abate pneumonia. Tuesday. So when the fatal stuff started happening on Monday, it's Tuesday. She's on the ventilator. I come on Wednesday and I start bitching about, hey man, I just saw the x-rays from Tuesday. What's going on? Where is her pneumonia medication? Now they go, oh, she's resistant to vancomycin and cefepime. I said, isn't that what I said, how she has it in the first place? Clearly she's resistant. What took you so long? Clearly. So now, Wednesday, she finally gets some pneumonia medication that's different than the one she's resistant to, right? So that's Wednesday. One day, it's Thursday. Thursday, my uncle gets a call, and the guy says, I'm from this palliative team or something. I don't even know who the hell this guy is. But he starts talking about, I am just calling the family just in case something happens to her and we might have to resuscitate her. And by the way, since she's in this bad condition, you might want to consider her going to hospice. And I'm like, what is this dude smoking right now? Are we serious with this right now? She's been on medication to relieve her pneumonia for one day. One day. Pneumonia, just for anybody, usually takes 3 to 5 days to clear. Not one day, not 2 days, not 3 days. It's usually 3 plus. And especially hers was full and she doesn't walk around. So therefore, it's probably going to take 5 days. So anyhow, he calls on Thursday night. Me and my uncle goes to the hospital every day, but we go on Friday. In the afternoon, another lady walks in, dressed in a smock, says she's a doctor, says, hey, I'm with this palliative team, whatever they call that. And I said, oh no, we can't talk. She goes, what? I said, no, we can't talk because one of your coworkers called me and the uncle last night and he started talking about sending my aunt to hospice. Talking about, we might have to do something. Do you want us to resuscitate her? I said, she ain't getting off the ventilator anytime soon. What are you talking about right now? You need to talk to me about anything like that on Monday. And they're like, what? I said, Monday. She just got her antibiotics on Wednesday. Monday means 5 days, 6 days, we'll talk. She ain't going to anywhere anytime soon. So now she goes, okay, I won't talk to you about that. So let me get a little background on how she's been and all this. So I give her background. Can I shit you not? 15 to 20 minutes later, a person with a stethoscope, some blue gear for the hospital, and a badge that says another doctor walks in. She says, I work with the clinical team. I'm like, what? What's that? I've never heard of this. What are you talking about right now? So anyhow, so I'm thinking I'm about to hear about, hey, I got the x-rays. I got something. No, we don't have any x-rays, Eric. I'm like, you didn't take any x-rays on Wednesday or Thursday? What are you talking about right now? How is this possible? Don't you have to find out what her status is? Because the latest x-ray I know about is on Tuesday. They're like, well, and on Thursday, I told the nurse, hey, she needs an x-ray. I need to see it. She's like, I ordered up an x-ray. Or Wednesday, they ordered up an x-ray, allegedly. No x-ray. Oh no, they didn't do it. This is in ICU, by the way. Okay, this is how crazy this is. So this other second person comes in, it's story night, comes in with the stethoscope in the smocks, talking about she's a doctor with a clinical team of some sort. I'm like, are you talking about the same palliative team? She goes, no, but I just want to talk with the family. So I'm thinking it's another doctor that's treating her, whether it's an infectious disease doctor I've never seen, whether it's the wound care team I've never talked to, none of that, right? So no, she starts, I need to have a conversation with you and your family, just in case this doesn't work out. This is Friday, 2 days after they gave her medication for pneumonia. She starts up like this. I'm like, nah, ain't gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Not taking her off the ventilator. Snow. And where's the x-rays at? Have you seen the x-rays? No, I haven't. I'm like, then what are you talking about right now? How are you even making this conversation? What the hell's going on around? So they're literally sending up random people to have us try to get her on some other treatment. She started saying something about a trach. And I go, hold on. I said, hold on. Why would you even get there? How do we get to that when you don't even have x-rays from the last 2 days? Well, we took x-rays yesterday. So, okay, where are they? You seen them? No. I'm like, then what are we talking about here? She's been on her thing since Wednesday. It's Friday. 2 days. If you count Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 2.5 days. You don't clear pneumonia in 2.5 days. Not when it's her whole lungs and there's fluid. Not going to happen. So what are we doing right now? So she's like, still going on and on. And I'm sitting there like, this is insanity right now. 3 people in 24 hours. Saturday comes. Sitting in there, and another doctor comes. And he says, I'm the floor doctor. I come around. I said, this is the first time I've seen you. We've been here every day, sometimes twice a day. I've never seen you in my life. But it's awfully nice for you to come and give us an update on something we already know. Because, by the way, I saw the x-ray. The nurse gave it to me from yesterday. And it's pretty clear. So what do you have to say? He says, oh, I just want to talk to you guys just in case we have to resuscitate her. I was like, 100% oxygen, 30% on the ventilator, from 100% down to 30%? What are you talking about right now? Did you see her x-ray? Yeah, no. I just glanced. I'm like, what are you talking about right now? Day 3, she's on this. I'm getting pissed, by the way. I'm pissed when they do this. So he starts going, well, if we have to resuscitate her, I'm like, how? She's on a ventilator. And she's not even using 100% oxygen. So clearly she's breathing on her own. And I'm like, by the way, did you know the respiratory doctor came up here and talked to me before you showed up? You know what he said? She's been breathing on her own for 7 hours and 3 minutes, and he has it on his watch. He's like, really? He's like, well, what I meant was, in case something does happen, do you want us to resuscitate her? I'm like, why are you talking like this? You're not going to have to, unless you do something, because clearly she's fine. Just let everything work like it's supposed to, and she should be good on Monday or whatever. So, Monday comes. They don't take her off, but she's doing well. Things have cleared up. Pneumonia is almost 90% gone. And so now, yesterday was Tuesday. We're there. The guy comes in. The guy I've never seen, Dr. Hahn. I've heard about him. Another doctor. Never seen. He comes in and says, I'm Dr. Hahn. I'm like, oh yeah, he called us one time. Right? Because we were in there going, where's the x-ray and all this stuff earlier in the week. And I was like, okay, who's in charge? Dr. Hahn. So I never saw him face to face. But today, he's there. Or yesterday, he was there. He starts again. Eric, we're going to take her off of the ventilator tomorrow just to make sure she can breathe fine. But you know, there's all kind of problems. We might have to do a tracheotomy. I said, dude, that's a no-go zone. Not going to happen. You did see her x-rays, right? He goes, yeah, man, she's doing fine. But we tried to take that little ventilator out before and she didn't do too well. I don't know why, because, she has like a little dementia. Maybe her body didn't know that we took it out. Some people have difficulty, yada, 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 yada. I said to him, I said, hold on, let me explain something. You did see the stuff they pulled out of her lungs, the tissues and all that garbage. You did know the other part where there was no issue before surgery. That's why they did surgery on Monday. With all that garbage she had, it was fluctuating 97, 98, 99, 100% oxygen with all that garbage in her lungs. And pneumonia, by the way. Clearly, she didn't just have pneumonia on Monday and her surgery was on Monday. So they knew that she had pneumonia, but they still did the surgery anyhow. So, anyhow, I'm going, so explain to me, nothing happened other than her pneumonia's cleared. Explain to me how you think that taking her off tomorrow after her lungs are clear and she doesn't have all that garbage in her lungs, blocking her bronchial tube partially, that somehow she's going to be at risk. He's like, well, I just want to tell you. I'm like, I'm not hearing you because you're making nonsensical argument here. She was breathing fine up until her surgery day. It's after surgery, all of a sudden, poof, oxygen level dropped. And I said, obviously, after all that stuff you took out of her body, that was the problem, along with pneumonia. So I said, how is it that all of a sudden she can't breathe? That doesn't even make sense. You trying to scare me? Oh, well, I just want to make sure you're okay with if we have to take it off. Do you want us to leave it off? I said, to let her die? Why would we do that? Are you serious right now? He's like, oh, no. I don't think that would happen. So my uncle says, well, you would put the ventilator back in if that happened, right? And he's like, yeah. Then I'm like, well, what are we talking about? We're like looking at each other like, then what are you talking about? Like they're trying to make sure that she dies or something. Then he starts saying, well, I don't know about her quality of life if she comes back because she's been bedridden for so long. I want to punch somebody. I'm like, explain to me. Why is she not walking around? It has nothing to do with because she can't. It has all to do with that big ass sore in her back that you guys went through surgery 1, did not fix, and now surgery 2, and she's going to have to go to a surgery 3. So if she wasn't like that and losing weight and doing all this stuff, because you guys don't do rehab and things like this, I have to do some part of it. So no high blood pressure, no problems, but she does have Alzheimer's a little bit. So I'm sitting there like, you do realize she doesn't have to take medications. It's only because you guys are the ones putting this crap in her and saying all this stuff, which I don't trust you. I just told him straight up, I don't trust you doctors anyhow. Because when I told you about the neurotoxicity on these drugs and you guys go, I'm like, and then you go, well, she doesn't respond well. Did you not hear what I just said? Neurotoxicity drugs. She's taking 2 of them that you guys are giving her. That makes people go night-night or other problems. So, of course, she's not going to respond because you're giving her stuff that puts people to sleep, F's up their eyes, blurry, all this other stuff. I'm like, man, I just get pissed, to say the least. This is what we're going through. So anyhow, long story short, today they take out the tube. The guy takes it out. She starts breathing. They're sitting there like, oh, wow. She's breathing like 100%. I was like, yeah, that's kind of funny, huh? I'm like, logically, how would she not? Unless you guys drugged her or something, because there's no way that you clear somebody's lungs and they're not going to breathe after they were breathing. And she doesn't have pneumonia either. So I'm like, come on, man. This is not rocket science. I just got pissed. They're still sitting there like, Oh, wow, like they're surprised. Kimchi recalled because of undeclared fish. Oh, my goodness, man. This is out of control, Brian P. So, ladies and gentlemen, the long story short is if you have loved ones in a hospital, you better be there. Because they do stuff without your authorization. Here's the funny part. They'll do stuff without your authorization. But then when it's an actual procedure that somebody could die, all of a sudden, hey, I need your authorization to take the tube out. But you didn't call for authorization to put the tube in. I'm like, what are you? This is insanity right now. Now you're concerned. I'm like, this is just craziness to me. Craziness. Some would say, okay, Eric, they should call you if it's an emergency, but they don't call if they're doing anything. They're just doing, oh, pills? We're just putting pills in her. We're not going to tell you what it is. In fact, we're not even going to show you what they are. But the hospital, give them credit, at the ICU, they have a list of all the drugs. So I'm looking at all these drugs. I'm like, okay, this is crazy. They're actually making sure, which your body's not supposed to be regulated, just like capitalism should not be regulated at any sort. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. You shouldn't have bailout, right? So, same thing. You say, hey, blood pressure dropped. What do? Oh, yeah, let's give her a blood pressure pill that raises her blood pressure. Okay. But you realize now you artificially did it. So now her body has to respond accordingly. Your body's a machine. Anyhow, I'll start getting pissed again. Unsenet of Downey recalling all and Kimchi branded sliced Kimchi UPC codes. Everybody can see it on the screen. This is bad, ladies and gentlemen. This is bad. FDA announces recall of thousands of cases of milk. I keep trying to tell you, you better grow your own. And you better and figure out where the seeds come from and the fertilizer you're using is coming from. The U.S. Food and FDA has announced a recall of more than 3,500 cases of Horizon Organic. Oh no, chocolate organic low fat. Okay, good. No chocolate milk. To a packaging issue, the FDA says the milk cartons pack. Is that broken up? By the way, just so everybody understands, there's no mammal on the planet that feeds their young their milk and then drinks milk. Just so you know. And for some reason, humans do this. I don't get it. But anyhow, I don't really drink that much milk myself. No broken bones either. No hips, best up. ECU to cut 33 academic programs. Is that East Carolina University or something? Including Of course they are. Of course they are. Of course. Of course. Usually you have to be pretty smart. And sociology, those classes, they teach you about life and how other people are treated and things of this nature. And socioeconomic scenarios. Software engineer, oh yeah, that's not valuable. Physics, yeah, that ain't valuable either. That's crazy. More than 30 academic programs will end at ECU. Who's ECU? As part of the multi-year plan to improve the school's financial state. What? The physics classes, let me go back up here. The physics and engineering classes cost a pretty penny usually. That's interesting. Harley Davidson, of course, them garbage, Pete. Harley Davidson recalls nearly 90,000 motorcycles over defect that could eject oil and cause injury. What? That's crazy. She was born in 1941. So she's 84. 84 years old. And that's where Rudy Giuliani also had a pneumonia. In fact, just so you guys know, as you get older, you're prone to pneumonia when you're like over your 60s to 70s and 80s. And in fact, a lot of people die from pneumonia when they get elderly because you don't walk around as much. You need your lungs to expand. That's one of the things. You still have to be in good environments as well. And your immune system is not the same. That's another thing. And so Giuliani almost got taken out. But again, my aunt's problem was the pneumonia was one, but her lungs and bronchial tubes clogged because they have to clean her mouth and she swallows stuff, which is secretions, and they could get stuck. And so when you're not doing that, which they don't, because even in ICU, they're not right there every hour either. You know, they're there like, well, they might be in ICU. But if you're in the normal hospital bedroom, they're not there every hour. So CNA is not there every hour either. So, and even then, so what if they're in the room for 3 minutes or less? Anything can happen. So they're not monitored like people think. There's not like, there's only one place that I saw where they actually had a camera to the room, where people were sitting at the desk, but that's rare. Most of the time, there's no monitoring other than some sounds going off, but people aren't in the room, so they're not going to really hear it. It's bad out here. And that's a hospital. Don't even, like I said, don't even let me get started for these lower tier things. Skilled nursing facility, they really aren't doing it like they should. The next tier down is, oh man, it was bad. It was bad. There's people walking around like zombies because they're giving them drugs. They can walk around and do stuff. There's people sitting in wheelchairs, and the place looks like I wouldn't keep animals in this place. Then they had nerve to take us down to a room area that my aunt could potentially stay in. As soon as I got about 5 feet from the door, the room smelled, and I was like, oh man, this is crazy. And they acted like it was no big deal. And I was like, they're showing me a room that has odor and other things are going on before we even got down here. So in our minds, we're like, she would never stay here. But it's insanity. If you got loved ones, go see them if they're at any of these facilities. In fact, stay overnight if you can. Most facilities won't let you stay overnight because then you'll see the care that's been given. Because now you're going to sit around there and you'll be like, nobody's been over here for like 2 hours. Because somebody should be coming every hour at least, whether it's a CNA or a nurse. But nah. Nah, so it's one of those things, hit the buzzer, and even then, they usually won't even come. So just keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to wrap this up. I've been on there 2 hours and 35 minutes. I got some more things to do, and I'll see you guys on Friday night. I appreciate you guys being here. I love you guys very much. I appreciate your support. Make sure, if you'd like to become a member of the channel, please do. If you'd like to become a subscriber, like what we're talking about, please subscribe. And with all that said, ladies and gentlemen, again, I love you, but please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. And I know it's hard out here. That's why you have to build the wealth while you can, while there's a market increase. Stocks, crypto, real estate is just basically meandering along, but that may no longer be the thing that it used to be for the last 40, 50 years. Where it would increase in price. Maybe it starts going back to the 1% or less every year, which means it's no longer a real money maker. It's long term. So that would change stability because then you would generally be able to afford the home versus prices increasing dramatically every few years. And that means people can't afford it like now. It was just bound to happen. That's why you live in a third world country and don't know it yet, because we're not improving nothing. Zero. There's no public works under this administration. Biden did the Infrastructure Act, which was very good, but we needed keep it going because we need infrastructure in America. And we're not going to get it if we're going to spend trillions of dollars on wars and Gestapo and voting stuff. And I mean, this is just insane. These guys would rather pay all this money to pay to bribe senators over elections that they could actually help America. But they'd rather spend billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars on an elections. This is crazy. But no high-speed rail, no affordable nothing. And I'm like, this is not sustainable. So you're not going to be safe out here. People are going to be upset. So you're going to have to just watch your back. You're going to have to be level-headed. A lot of people are, losing their minds, rightfully so, because things are not going very well for a lot of people. So somebody just, you bump into somebody, that could be a simple trigger for someone. You say something to somebody, that could be a trigger. So just be, cautious out here. You just never know what's going to happen. And above all else, be confident. Stay true to yourself. You can do it. Regardless of what goes on, you can always persevere. So keep your head up. Keep moving. And I'm out.